And I
I'm
think we are
very
now
good.
live. We are live. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good, good. It's great to have you here. How's your day been?
It's been quite busy. I managed to fit in a gym session this morning first thing, which is very unlike me to do an early morning gym session, but needs must.
Good on you. I've been doing that now for a month, Susie. Getting up at like 5:30 in the morning, going to the gym. Like it's really tough, but then once you get into it, you don't even realize it's the morning. And then you're grand and you come out and you're fine and your day's rocking. And then 1 o'clock comes around and it's just like, boom, up the face, wipe out,
Yeah,
cannot function, cannot. It's like, what do you call it? Jet lag. It's just
yeah,
like you're just sitting there, like, I can't read anything, I can't think. And your whole day is just like destroyed. So it's great to have you on board. Let me just give an introduction to anyone that's watching. Hey, everyone. Welcome to BuzzStart's episode 3 of I'm a Role Model. Hashtag is I'm a Role Model. BuzzStart exists to change the status quo of education, recruitment, and the workplace cultures by upskilling and empowering 1 million women as digital entrepreneur leaders. So please connect with us on all of our channels. We have Instagram, we've got YouTube, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Twitter, we've got them all, right? So please connect, please subscribe on YouTube. My name's Patrick Cutliff. I'm the founder of BuzzStart and I'm a Role Model. I'm delighted today to share with you all that we have a very special guest, my great and wonderful friend, Suzie Smith. How are you, Suzie?
yeah, good. Thank you for the introduction.
You're very welcome. I'm getting good at this, right?
Very good.
So let me tell you a little bit about Suzie. For those people who are watching, we've got 3 people looking already. Please leave some comments in the chat box. We'd be delighted to engage with you throughout the session. So Suzie set up and has been running her own digital agency, creative digital agency, Piece of Cake Communications, for over 10 years now. She is an award-winning marketing expert, a qualified teacher, a digital trainer, a marketing lecturer at Falmouth University. She is trained for some of the world's top brands, including helping me last year with Facebook. And more importantly, she has a massive heart. She's a loving single mom of 2 kids and is the type of friend that most of us can only ever dream of having. I wholeheartedly mean that because I worked with Suzie a lot last year and she's an absolute legend. Suzie has overcome a lot of barriers in her life, as most of us has. She's never stopped. She's never given up the fight. She's fighting every day like the rest of us. She's an inspiration and she's the ultimate role model for this show. So, Suzie, you're going to tell us your backstory today. You're going to share your wisdom on how to keep your dream job, the challenges and those barriers that we encounter, but the huge rewards out of the back of all that resilience and hard work as well. And Suzie's also going to be sharing the best tips and one major tip for you all to take away and action today. So, Suzie, let's kick off, right? We know one another clearly, right? I think we get that. How did we meet, Suzie? Let us know. How did we meet?
Well, I was introduced to you by somebody at my local Chamber of Commerce. I was training her, the marketing manager at the local Chamber of Commerce, and got in touch.
Laura?
Yeah, Laura.
Yeah, that's right.
And she said to me, look, I was training her to do her professional marketing qualifications. And she said, I've heard from this chap, Patrick. He's looking for somebody that would be willing to help him sort of roll out some training being put together by Facebook. And she said, you know, as you train me, and I can't think of anyone better, would you be willing to work with him? And so yeah, that's how we met last year. And yeah, it sort of took off really quickly. It was great. I was able to sort of bring Facebook training, which was, as we both know, was free training provided by Facebook, to Cornwall, which was a really big deal for Cornwall and was super, super popular down here. Yeah. And yeah, we've just sort of carried on working together ever since. So yeah.
Nice one. It was fun, wasn't it? The Facebook digital skills training.
Yeah, it was really, really fast paced and a whole different way of sort of training and thinking for me, because, you know, it was, we were delivering things that would blow people's minds, but in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And actually people were walking out thinking it isn't as scary and as terrifying as I thought it might be. Yeah. So yeah, it was a really different approach to that kind of training.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, their mindset was shifted. We got so much feedback about, especially young women as well, and how their mindset had shifted literally in 60 minutes from not believing in themselves, not thinking they had the acumen, the skills, and, you know, so on and so forth. And then at the end of the session, they were like, they had their own business set up, or at least they had an idea and a template or a profile of a business. They had, you know, a prototype, and they were, within a few weeks, I'd heard back from some young girls that attended saying, I've set up my own business, I've pitched, I've raised investment, I've done this, I've done that, I've put a team together. And it was just mind blowing. And that wasn't like a 60-minute session. So, you know, it was so powerful. And, you know, there's more of that coming. I'm setting up another channel now for digital skills training for women, which is going to be free, literally just like this, online me training. So hopefully it'll have a massive impact as well around the world, and it'll help a lot of women and shift their mindset, but also their work and their career and employment and jobs and all that. So Suzie, brilliant. Thank you. So it's important, Suzie, that our viewers and listeners get a personal insight into you as a role model. So on that note, would you mind sharing your backstory with us?
Okay, so I started my career as a journalist. If we go a little bit back further than that, I bombed most of my GCSEs. I didn't put any effort in at all, which hit me when I got my results through at 16, that wasn't probably the best thing to do. I spent 3 years at sixth form because they said, I said, look, I want to go to uni. And they went, not with those grades. So I got myself into a university called City University in London, which was sort of heralded as one of the best for journalism, again through random tenacity, because I actually applied for the wrong course. I got there I got accepted onto the wrong course, got there for the open day, realized my mistake, and went off to see the chap that led the journalism department, and he said, I'm not free for about 8 or 9 hours. And I said, well, I'll wait here then.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I waited the whole day. I waited for about 9 hours. I missed my coach home back to Bristol from London. And then he talked to me for a little bit, and he said, I'll just let you know that I haven't had anything on all day. I just wondered if you'd sit around and wait for me. And then he said, and the minute that you did, I knew that you would make a good journalist. So you've got an unconditional place on the course.
Oh, wow. So it was a big test.
Yes, it was just one long 9-hour test.
That is cruel, Suzie.
It was.
That's like the worst interview ever.
It really was. And so, but yeah, I was chuffed. I ended up moving into journalism. I came out of that. I went to work for my local paper. What I used to do whenever I would work for someone, and this is sort of the power of testimonials and getting reviews, and sometimes it can feel uncomfortable asking for clients for that after you've worked for them, but I always do it. Yeah. Because I said to the editor, have you enjoyed having me here on work experience? And he said, oh, yeah. But I made him write me a review or testimonial or whatever of my week there. And then I sent it back to him and I said, look, I've qualified now and you clearly loved me. So do you want to give me a job? And he didn't have any jobs going. And that straight away, can I say that's one of my tips? Don't wait for your dream job to drop onto Indeed or one of these websites. If you want to work somewhere, you go tell that person you want to go and work for them. Brilliant. So yeah, I went, that was my first sort of foray into journalism, and moved around a lot then, moved to sort of weekly papers, regional papers, evening dailies, moved into broadcast journalism. So then became a broadcast journalist. Again, when I moved into broadcast journalism, I didn't apply for a job, literally just approached them and said, I want to come and work at this radio station. Ended up down in Cornwall, which is where I live now. That was an advertised job, but one which I thought was completely out of my realms of experience. Was absolutely terrified, went for that. Didn't quite get it. It was for an editorship, but I got offered deputy editor, which I was still a bit like, oh, well, it looks like we're moving to Cornwall then. And then spent quite a long time working in journalism in Cornwall, sort of launched magazines in the county, and worked for the various radio stations. My last big job was running the 3 weekly newspapers in Cornwall. And then hit a bit of a point about sort of just over a decade ago, where I kind of had a real sort of moment of what do I want? I'd reached my ceiling in Cornwall in terms of journalism, and journalism is very different now, and I could see the way it was changing and going. So I took a small break from journalism for a little while. Just took a sort of a few months out, and I thought, well, I'll do a PGCE, see how that goes, which I quickly had to make part-time because I was asked to step in and look after somebody else's agency for a year, PR agency. And then after that, I ended up setting up my own. So that's was how I went from moving into running my own agency. It was never intentional.
That's amazing.
But yeah.
That's a really cool story. Let's hold that thought for a minute on your tips and that persistence and resilience that you had. And we'll come back to that in a while. You also touched on terrified. I really like words like terrified, because they're really strong adjectives and highlighting our deep emotions, right? And we use words to convey how we think, how we feel. That's what we do with language. That's how we get stuff out there and how we communicate with one another. So on a deeper level, can you tell us about a time where you've overcome with fear, and what were the steps or actions that you took to overcome the fear and turn that into some positive opportunity?
I think probably in most of the big jobs I've gone for, I felt that they were out of my reach, and I would say I'd look at the job, especially jobs I've applied for, because like I said to you, I tend to try and find a firm I want to work for or a client I want to work with, and then I'll approach them. But there were a few jobs that I applied for, and I thought, I don't think I've got a chance with this job, but then I just thought, you know what, I want it. So I would just fill out the application and then hope that my personality and experience would shine through. I've been told that I'm actually really bad in interviews, which is great, mainly because I get quite flustered at sort of trying to promote myself. I spend my whole life promoting other people, but it feels really cringy to sit there and kind of peacock and say I'm really great. And so my sort of attitude was, well, if I don't apply, I'm not going to know. And what have I lost? If I apply for it and they say, no, I haven't lost anything, I've lost a few hours of my time. Even now, when I'm writing huge tenders, I'll be writing a tender for, tens of thousands of pounds, and I'll think, oh, I'm probably not going to get this, because I still suffer from like quite severe sort of imposter syndrome. And then I think, well, I'll try anyway. And then I'm always quite surprised. I'm still always surprised now when people say, yeah, we'd love to work with you, or come and do this. And so, I think for me, the biggest thing is, I see something I want to do, and then I just think, I try to ignore the demons or the voices in my head that say, you're not good enough. This is going to go to somebody else. They'll prefer somebody else. Somebody else will be more experienced. Somebody else will this, somebody else that. And all those voices are still happening as I'm typing away and typing that out. And then, it comes good. So, I can often talk the talk.
Yeah, no, you're a great talker, and it's incredible. You're resonating with so many people watching this. I have no doubt. You're a reflection of myself, and we're going to talk about anxiety and imposter syndrome in a while as well. So hold that thought as well. But the interview process, for a lot of people, and I say millions and millions of people across the world, it does not work, right? It does not fit its purpose. It does not help people. You are put into a situation where you have to lie, first of all, right? Because people do lie in interviews. It's you have to lie to have a competitive advantage. I know that from years and years of trying. So if you don't have some little lies in there, somebody else is lying above and beyond you. You have then the whole emotional human being thing of fear and all those little voices, as you said, which you need to takes a lifetime to quiet them down through mindfulness and shut them up, and actually self-belief in yourself then, and the skills that you have, and that affirmation from other people. Then you're put into a waiting room, never mind the room, you're put into a waiting room where you have to sit with other people. Nobody's talking, it's silent, you could hear a pin drop, everyone's terrified, everyone's going through the same emotion, the atmosphere is just like this. this, and then you get in there and there's like 3 people, 5 people like this, and they're all staring at you like you've done something wrong. It's like going back to school as a child and you're sent to the headmaster's office. Then you get grilled with questions and you have to sit there, as you said, and perform like a monkey and say, I'm amazing at this, I'm amazing at that, when you are literally not that person that can sit there and go, I'm great at this and I'm great at that. And then they don't even send you any correspondence to say you didn't get the job.
Yeah.
So your method is amazing. And it's literally the method that I figured out through life too, is there are other ways to do this. There are other ways, alternatives, better ways that you can figure out how to get jobs and jobs that you love and everything else. So we shared a bit of that last week, and we will talk about this more as we evolve and meet other role models on the show. So thank you for that, Suzie. Amazing. And we will come back to those things as well. So Suzie, another question for you. Work-life balance, right? It's a big thing, and it's a big thing for the future, and COVID's happened and remote working and all that. So it's starting to come to the fore a lot more now. It can be a major struggle for women, especially mums. You're a mum of 2. So you also run a business, you run a household, and 1 million other things, Suzie. So what is your secret in to order in all of this chaos? And what challenges does this bring to you as a single mum as well?
So the way that I live and die by a small paper diary, which is a little bit old school. And I know people say, why don't you, especially being someone who her whole life is about helping other people digitally. But I live and die by this little paper diary, and I have to be super organized. If I don't know what I'm doing at all times, I will constantly double book myself. So Tuesday night, I was out for dinner. I knew I had a call with you about some other digital stuff we're doing and I said to you, I'm free Wednesday, so we'll do it Wednesday. And then, I hadn't written that in my diary, even though I knew that it was happening. And therefore I double booked myself nuts. It was 9 o'clock at night. I was trying to rearrange. And I think, it's about organization. There are so many demands on my time. I'm constantly juggling. A lot of people say to me all the time, like, where do you find the time? And things will literally almost be slotted into my life hour by hour. So, I know that I've got to do this at this time. I need to leave at this time. And that doesn't fit naturally with me. I want to just be, casually moving from here to there, but I have to be regimented with my time. That works actually quite well for my kids. They're young enough at 7 and 9 to like routine and regime, and that does work really well for them as well. And it's the only way that I can take on so much. Like you say, I run my business, but I'm employed with 2 different organizations, and I'm always trying to take up new opportunities. Like you say, then I try to sort of balance the kids, and then somewhere at the real bottom of that list comes me and my time and wanting to see my friends, and like you say, going to the gym and all those kind of things. And that's where it becomes really easy to let that drop off, where you stop spending time with the people that are important to you, and doing the things that you really like to do. And without doing those things, you will burn out. So, and I've let that work-life balance too many times tip in the favor of work. Yeah. And I constantly have to reassess where I am with it. Yeah. And, and I actually, friends and family will say to me now, like, are you taking on too much? And I'm like, probably.
Brilliant. Do you think, brilliant, Suzie, again, very much like myself, from deep anxiety, I have a regime as well. And, I can't be sitting about. I have to be doing something. I'm not great at like writing stuff down. I have a schedule, like a calendar on my computer. And I know that I get a lot more done when I write down stuff and I break it down hour by hour. But then that's really freaky and weird. And, isn't it? And regimental, like you said, it's not normal. And you have to have some balance in your life. You have to have downtime, and you have to really put pressure on yourself to make sure that happens and that you fit it in and everything else. Otherwise, you will burn out, as you said. You will you will smash a wall at 100 miles an hour. and it will really impact everything, your mood, the people around you, your environment, and everything really in your outside world will be affected by you putting so much pressure on yourself. And I do it all the time, and I've always done it. And I've learned some coping mechanisms for right, Patrick, like it's, mindfulness, where a little voice will pop in my head and say, Patrick, get away from the desk. Patrick, go and do something else, Patrick, and I just, every day I have to have that little, I've made that habit now of that little voice coming in and intervening and saying, Patrick, sort it out, move away from the desk, move away from what you're doing. Because I could literally work from 6 a.m. to midnight every day and not think twice about it, So brilliant answer. And anyone that's listening or watching as well will get a lot from that. So basically, in summary, like you would do your goals or anything else, write them down and break your time down into me time, work time, and so on and so forth, gym time, and find that balance and try and stick to that regimentally, where you've got that percentage balance of your entire day, and each day as your week goes on, you have to really fit out yourself to that. Brilliant. So, Suzie, we live in an always turned on digital world today. Younger Generation Z, who we're doing a lot of work with, and a lot of what we're doing right now, hopefully, is targeted at those younger women to help them overcome a lot of hurdles that you and other role models have come through in your life. But they're always turned on in a digital world. They're constantly on Instagram, Facebook, and everything else. We also have access to more knowledge than we've ever had in the history of the world. Now, there's two narratives to that. There's the positives and the negatives. But how do you self-learn, Suzie? And why do you think it's important for, especially, for everyone today to constantly upskill?
I've got a little bit of an obsession with learning, and I think part of it came about from, it came about quite late for me. Like I say, I didn't particularly enjoy the whole school process or anything like that. But now I absolutely love to learn new things. The key to constantly learning is to find something that you're passionate about and that you constantly want to know more about. For me, that does happen to be sort of the digital world, and so I'm, like you say, I'm kind of always switched on with it, so I'm always I follow really interesting people. I follow people that make me laugh. I follow people that enrich me in some way. So I'm constantly learning, and that's a lot of that is some of my peers and people that I work with, I actively try and seek out that stuff. So but learning shouldn't be boring. It shouldn't feel like a process of, I need to learn about this now, I need to learn about that. It's more about enriching and educating yourself. And so if you find it interesting, then it's never boring. So when I see something that says, LinkedIn's doing this now, or Facebook's doing that now, or this is changing in the marketing world, it's interesting for me. And so I think that process of continually learning is really, really important. But you can find a way of educating and upskilling yourself without it having to be dull. And if you're sat there and you're reading a blog because you feel you have to, or you're listening to a podcast because you feel you have to, and you're not enjoying it or getting anything out of it, you're listening to the wrong ones. Turn it off, walk away from it, and find something else. Ask, go on social media and say, has anyone got any interesting podcasts you can listen to? This one's quite good. Or find an article, ask people to share the stuff with you. It's the same way that you talk to your friends about that interesting stuff. They're probably going to share your interests as well. Yeah. So you don't have to, learning doesn't and shouldn't be boring. When I train, I'm quite upbeat, enigmatic, excited. I'm excited about my subject, and that definitely sort of comes off as well, because I'm really excited about it, so you should be excited about it too. and I think that's the way we sort of learn well, is because it's the sort of thing that when you learn something new, you want to pass it on to somebody else and say, did you know that XYZ about this? So yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, there's the key word, I think, in there that you've mentioned a number of times. And that last point as well is, those facts is interest. And it's why we're running this happiness thing as well as part of BuzzStart, this happiness module. It's about hacking yourself, first of all. Forget about the outside world. You have to hack yourself in here and go internal first and figure out who you are and what you're interested in and what you're passionate about. And that's so important. And you have to put in that groundwork. Some people spend most of their life trying to figure that stuff out. But if you actually figured out some actual tools like mindfulness and things like that, where you can actually hack yourself very early on and actually figure those things out, start to write them down. Because tribes, communities gather around interest. That's where you'll find your friends. That's where you'll find your tribe. That's where you'll find your love for learning and what you're doing. But not only that, you'll find your purpose and you'll find your career. Because if you love something so much and you can actually make a career out of that, that is no longer work, right? You're getting out of bed on a Monday morning going, I'm not working. I am doing something I love. Like there's a young guy here in the town called Adam B, and he's a YouTube star influencer. And he's just literally running around doing these amazing hacked videos of all this mad, crazy stuff. And the guy has built a whole career for himself. He's bought his parents a home last year. I think he's only like 18 or 19. He bought his parents a house. I've seen him on massive airlines. I think it was Emirates or something, doing like live video blogs of the entire flight and being in a shower on an airplane and first class and all this. And he's done all this amazing stuff. And he's very lucky because he's figured out what he's good at early on. And he's found the tools that will help him to get himself out to the world. So these digital tools, Instagram and YouTube and so on that he uses, he's really hacked himself. He's figured out what he's really good at. He's then recorded that and put it out to the world, and he now has a channel, a career. He loves it every day. He gets up, he jumps out of bed, excited about his work. Everybody can do that. Everyone can fit into where their interests, passions align, and that is so important. So one thing, just to come back to what you were talking about, and I think it's something I've deep thought, is that social media can be very, very detrimental to people and have a really negative impact on their mindset. But what you can do is you can hack the algorithms. Algorithms are based on what you engage with, the content that you click on and watch and stuff like that. That algorithm is watching you and it's tracking what you're doing, right? So what I would say to anyone listening or watching right now is write down the things that you love. Get a balance of interests, passions, learning, all of that. Create like a schedule for your week and stick to it for a few weeks and start engaging with that content on your YouTube, your Instagram, your Facebook. And after a few weeks, you will see that your feed on YouTube and Instagram will start serving you more of that content. And what you can also do is start removing news and negativity and doom and gloom and all of that stuff from your feed and create your own feed. Hack the algorithm. Then when you're getting served advertisements, which can annoy a lot of people, they're going to be very tailored to you because it's something that you're interested in, you're influenced by, you're passionate about. It could be a holiday, a destination, a car, whatever it is. It's going to be then you're getting the right stuff served to you. So I just wanted to add in a bit of tech kind of hacking there as well as person hacking.
Absolutely. And I say to people, I often hear when people are training, they'll come on the course and they'll need social media for business. And they're there and they say, I don't use social media. I don't like it. And I say, all right, well, why don't you like it? And they say, it's just full of, my news feed's just full of all these boring people whining about this, whining about that. I said, well, okay, what you need to imagine is social media channels are basically, let's take it back. You have walked into a newsagent and you have an empty magazine in front of you. On the shelves aren't other magazines, but are articles. And you're going to fill your magazine with articles. You're going to take that home out of the shop and you're going to read it. Now, what you've essentially done is you have chosen to follow those people, to befriend those people, to follow that news channel. You've chosen to do that. And now you're saying, well, my magazine is full of all these boring articles and irrelevant adverts. Change your articles, change the people that you follow, which is exactly what you're saying. Change the people that you follow, change the news outlets that you read, and the adverts will then change. You are the curator of your own online magazine. Yeah. So you're the person that fills that stuff up. And if that person is boring, actually, I muted someone on my Instagram this week purely because of her negativity. She was writing horrible things about, name calling. And I was just like, no, I go onto Instagram because it makes me literally, I'll be sat there scrolling through my phone, laughing out loud to myself. Yeah. That's why I'm on Instagram. So actually it knows it's not going to show me that stuff anymore because that's not what I want to see. You just show me funny stuff, please, Instagram. That's all I want to see.
It's brilliant, and that's an amazing analogy to bring it into the real world for people. You have that blank canvas. What do you want in those pages? Do you want more of those funny videos? Do you want more of that, those shows that you like? Do you want more of that person, that influencer? Do you want more of that? Or do you want more negativity and doom and gloom, right? So stop letting the algorithm control you and your actions. You hack the algorithm, tell the algorithm what you like, what you're interested in, engage with it more. The algorithm will pick up on those touch points, and then it will serve you more of that stuff. I mean, most people don't think like this. They just let the algorithm fit into their brain. Then, like you said, you're switched on. You've seen this negativity. That little voice in your head said, I need to switch her off. She's having a negative impact on me, my mood, my life. I need to switch her off and fill that space with something positive and healthy and happy and something I can just sit there and laugh to myself. Brilliant. Lovely, Suzie. So, Suzie, let's take it down a tone, and we'll go up and we'll go down and we'll go all around, right? So as you know, we know one another quite well. You've anxiety. I've had anxiety for most of my life, right? And it's caused me all sorts of problems throughout my life, in every possible way. I've also experienced imposter syndrome, which is kind of tied in with that anxiety too. I've gone into workplaces where, I was very happy to get the job, but then I was left on my own devices, and I was very young, and I didn't have the skills that I needed to fulfill the job role completely. I needed some assistance and help, but I was just told, go and do that, and I didn't know how to do it. And then that just it amplified my anxiety and my whole mood and everything in my life and everything else. So is this something like imposter syndrome is a big problem for people out there? They don't feel that they have the skills or the makeup or whatever it is for a certain job role or whatever it is in the workforce. Is this something that resonates with you? And do you have any examples of where that's had a really kind of bad impact or negative impact on you?
Yeah, I mean, I would still say it still happens now all the time. I'm not sure it'll ever go away, but I'm getting older and more experienced all the time to quieten that voice. So I think as you gain experience and knowledge and expertise, you can quieten that voice, because if you're going to suffer from imposter syndrome, it's going to keep popping up and saying to you, you're not good enough. But over time, you learn to think, I'm not going to listen to you. The biggest thing that you can do if you have imposter syndrome is try and find some help. So I work as a mentor now because I really enjoy sort of, that process of giving something back. Like I say, I've always suffered from anxiety. When I went to take my exams when I was at uni, I suddenly convinced myself I didn't know, I might have studied for 3 years, but I don't know, I can't answer these. So my dad, who was living in Bristol, would drive up to London and sit outside the exam room just so that I had the inner confidence to think it's okay if I need to go outside, Dad's out there, that's fine. And then after the exam, poor bloke would then drive all the way back to Bristol. And now in terms of trying to, so it's finding your own coping mechanism to finding your own self-belief. And so if you don't work in, and I find this a lot, especially with like marketing managers, everyone's a marketing manager these days without necessarily the experience or the skill set to do it. They'll draft somebody in and they'll sort of, bless her, Jenny from admin, who, they'll say, right, okay, well, you've got a Facebook page, so you can do it. And then people are left terrified because, their boss has got the confidence in them. So surely they should know how to do it. And I would say, if you're, unsure and you don't know where to start, again, that's where the different channels can be helpful. Start following, follow people in your industry on things like social media, and then actually sort of, drop them a message and say, it might feel a bit overwhelming to ask a random stranger for some help. But I tell you what, every time I have genuinely asked for help, people have pointed me in the right direction of help. And if you do it sincerely and honestly, say, look, I'm stuck, I need some help. Can you point me in the right direction? People are generally willing. It seems like a big, scary world, but actually people are generally willing. And it's a compliment for them as well. If somebody says, look, you're an expert, can you help me? I'm stuck. People would genuinely help you. And like I say, in terms of that imposter syndrome and how do you get past it, just take a look back at some of the stuff you've done. Remind yourself of actually why you're good enough, and and just take some time to just look at your own achievements. and then sort of say, actually, you know, I can do this. And even if you still don't think you can, you've just got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You just, you know, I remember the very first Facebook training session I did with you. I've been standing in front of people training, you know, people for at least a decade now. Like I say, I teach at uni, I teach at college, I do private training for people. That very first Facebook session I did with you, 10 minutes before I stood in front of that group, I text my best friend and I said, I think I'm going to be physically sick.
I remember.
And I said, and the thing is as well, I'd only just kind of met you at the time, so I didn't really want you to think like, oh, I've got a right flake. So I was like, you were like, you'll be fine. I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. But actually it was fine. I got that first one out of the way and it was fine. You've just got to do it anyway.
Yeah. I remember that well. I just get a vision of the room and stuff, and you were feeling bad, and you smashed it. You really did. Brilliant, Suzie. I mean, just to go back to that, if you think about it, right, the way I see it is about work. We live in a system, and we believe that this is the only way you do things because that's what we're taught. Because our parents and their grandparents and people around us are doing the same thing, and your neighbor might buy the same car as you and the car up the street and all that, and that's how humans kind of work, right? But if you think about a customer experience, for example, if you're working, if you're buying broadband or something, right, and you have broadband, you get a really bad customer experience from one company. Are you going to stay with them for long? Or are you going to find another brand? Or are you going to just stay there and take this nonsense from this company? Most people will move, they'll shift, right? So I believe the same really applies in the workplace. I think it's personally important that you find out who you are, your purpose, your passion, what industry you want to be in, what job you want to be in. That's so important, first of all. Figure that out. But if you find that you're in an environment where you're not getting the support, the culture isn't right, it doesn't fit you, it doesn't help you, it doesn't support you, I know you have bills to pay. I know you have this, that, and everything else, but I cannot give you any better advice in this world than get the hell out of there. Yeah. Literally get the hell out of there. I don't care how long it takes you to get another job because it's affecting your mental health, and you'll just go and do the same thing in the next place and the next place and the next place for years and years and years. You have to find that supportive environment. You have to be allowed to fail. It's the only way you will learn. You need, well, it's a manager or whoever it is, a line manager, they need to allow you that space to try stuff. Even if you don't know stuff, they'll be there to share and train you and teach you and all of that. All of that stuff has a massive impact on our mindset. And I think it has a large part to play in a lot of mental health around the world as well, is that culture and workforces and how we're so suppressed and put into boxes and told to get on with it. And we're sitting there and we don't know how to do something, and imposter syndrome is just taking over our entire life. We're going home miserable. We're having arguments with our partners or children, or, you bring your work home as well, right? You don't want to bring that home. You want to leave that at the office, or you want to get the hell out of there and find something that fits you where you're being supported. So Suzie, give us 3 barriers now that you've encountered, and how, just very quickly, like three kind of headline barriers that you've overcome, and how did you encounter them or overcome them?
I would say it's not that I want to sort of go down the sexist route, but being a woman has been a real issue, especially in senior management. Yeah. That was a real issue in just terms of being able to get respect of the people that were underneath me. I progressed through my career quite young. So I found myself at the sort of 30 mark, leading sort of, 50, 60 journalists, and an awful lot of those were a lot younger than me. And I would get comments like, well, she's obviously slept with the editor, or she's done this or done that. And years after I left my last major job, I would still get people coming up to me saying, did you ever sleep with him? And it's just outrageous. I said, like, no, actually, I didn't. Here's an idea. I got the job on my own ability.
Yeah, imagine I done it on my own merit. Like,
who would have thought it?
I know, wow.
All those years training to be a journalist.
Incredible.
Yeah. So that was a real issue for me. And then I would also say that I work in a county, especially, which one of the biggest barriers is that other people seem to be very good at sort of I call it peacocking.
Okay.
So, and you know, sort of like you say, it's going back to that interview process where they're sort of like massively sort of pushing and promoting themselves. And I think that's more of a personal barrier for me, is that I like my clients to know that I'm doing a good job, and that's all that needs to happen, really. I just need to work hard and do well. It's obviously done quite well because my business has been going for over a decade. But I find that barrier is if I tune in too much to my own industry, like you say, your own tribe, it can go the other way. You know, I learned so much from that tribe, but actually that tribe can fill me again with that sort of insecurity that, oh my word, she's got that massive new client, he's got this massive new contract. So am I not doing well enough? So there's that as well. And I would say, you know, I would say, what would my third thing be? It would probably be sort of, again, not making enough time to really think about what I love. You can get caught up very quickly in sort of taking on another contract, taking on another role. And it's really, really important. I had a business development manager that would say, stop working in the business and start working sort of on the business. Stop doing your job every day and remind yourself what you want to do. I really wish they would stop asking kids, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want them to ask kids, what do you like doing?
Yeah.
Because what do you like doing? Then let's make that happen.
Yeah.
And actually, I have to sort of ask myself on a regular basis, am I doing what I like? Am I doing enough of what I like? Or am I just doing the stuff that earns the good money? I've got an amazing agency that I know really well down here, and I won't use the expletives that he uses, but he basically says, do not work with horrible clients.
Yeah.
Because they drain you. And it's a bit like having that sort of like horrible line manager that isn't supportive. You will get that with clients as well, that they expect so much of you and they're really demanding of your time. So the barriers I've encountered have been essentially being female and people sort of assuming that, you know, my success is due to, you know, promiscuity rather than my brain. It's also about you know, not making enough time to be thinking about what direction do I want my career to go in, and to keep moving forward all the time. So yeah.
Brilliant, Suzie. Yeah, there's the first point you made about sexist, not at all. And anyone that thinks it is an idiot. You know, it's there, it's out there. It's there's been numbers of, you know, surveys and all sorts of reports done on the barriers that exist for women in the workplace and everywhere else as well. But you know, largely a lot of stuff is kind of measured in the workplace and all of the barriers that you have to overcome as a woman. Never mind everything else that's going on in your life. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing with this, with BuzzStart, with the talent program, you know, where we have this 12-week program where we take a group of women and we hack their mindset, first of all, and that self-belief, and we set their purpose and their passion and all of that. And then we get them on a pathway to where they want to go. And then I work with them then and help them actually get the skill sets, but also believing in themselves and the soft skills and working towards those goals and building out those leaders, those future digital entrepreneur leaders, as I call them. The world needs more women leading. We see it with Jacinta Ardern. We see it with women all over the world doing amazing stuff. It needs more women in leadership, and we need to remove this nonsense, this crap that is stopping women from doing and being their absolute best. So absolutely brilliant answer, and I really appreciate your honesty, because anyone that's listening or watching, again, it's going to help them, you know, especially in a world where this stuff still exists. We need to hack down and break down these barriers. We need to get rid of them. We need to remove them, and we need to keep proving that, you know, that the women are amazing and they can do amazing things, and they do not need to be treated or spoken to or whatever in the way that they often can be. So brilliant, Suzie. Suzie, we're going to wrap up today's show. It's been very powerful and amazing. We've got some comments. First of all, Dan says, good luck, Patrick. Top man. Thanks, Dan. Patrick is the man. My head's getting big. Thanks, Sean. Brona Healy. Hi, Brona. Brona's a Manchester. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Good luck, says Mark as well. Thanks, guys. So, Suzie, we're going to wrap up today's show with one final question. Some women out there are afraid. They're anxious. They're experiencing negative thoughts, right? What advice would you give them to overcome these persistent mindset barriers towards happiness and leading a happier life?
You've got to, I think you've touched on mindfulness quite a lot. And for me, mindfulness is, it can sound a little bit cheesy, but I really that time where I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to go to the gym, I make time for the gym. I also do things like yoga. If it's reading, I was talking to one of my friends. My friend is a GP, and we've recently just started playing a quiz over Messenger. It's literally just a sort of general knowledge type quiz. And his wife, who's a friend of mine, was sort of saying, oh, why do you two bother with that? And I say, because it enables me to switch off from life for a little bit. So find the thing that enables you to switch off from the noise of life for a bit. Whether it's reading, whether it's walking the dog, whether it's having a glass of wine with your friend, whatever it is, find it and try to do more of it, because that's the way that ultimately you'll be happy. I have a lot of noise in my life. I have a lot of noise with my job, my kids, my family, dating and all the rest of it, all the other things that go with it. So I need that time where, people say, well, you drive a lot around the country. And I'm like, yeah, because I love sitting in my car.
Yeah.
Quiet. I could listen to my music. So,
why would you do something you love, Suzie?
I know. Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's crazy.
So yeah, find some time to just do something that you enjoy. And you know what? That thing that you enjoy, it doesn't have to be rocket science. It literally can be playing a game on your phone. It can be reading a book, or it can be just sat in the garden for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I do keep talking about mindfulness. I talk about it because it saved my life, right? I figured out mindfulness and I started practicing it. I started reading self-help books and all of that stuff. Over years and years of working on myself, I was able to pull myself out of really dark and deep holes and start to build myself up again. So that's why I talk about it. I mean, it's one of those terms that people are afraid of. Perhaps, what is that? That sounds weird. I'm going to look like an idiot. All of this kind of stuff. But in fact, it's something that you can do anywhere. In the shower, you can do it in the car. You can do it on the beach. You can do it literally anywhere. And it's just what it is it's just kind of looking in at yourself and your thoughts and being able to control what's going on in there and intervening whenever there's something negative and then filling it with something positive. And you can actually do that habitually. So you can shift your own mindset. You can work on yourself, hack yourself, shift your own mindset to a different level. And it doesn't work all the time. Days you're going to have just bad days and that's it. And on those days, literally, there's nothing I can do to shift my mindset. I just have to lie down and go, this day is going to be a wipeout. And that's it. And I just have to take that and go, you know what? Today's just not going to happen. I know it. I can feel it in my body and my mind. I'm just going to, tomorrow's a new day.
And allow that to happen.
Yeah,
allow
completely.
yourself these days. They're so important. It's so important. I say, if you're having a bad day, allow yourself to wallow in your self-pity for that day. But don't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow get up. You gave yourself that day. But don't tell yourself you shouldn't be having that day. Just have it.
Yeah, 100%. You have to let these things happen. You're only human. There's only so much you can do and take. So I'm going to leave it in that note because I think that was very passionate and very powerful. We've had some amazing comments from everyone on today. Thank you so much. We will be saving out the recording for this as well, uploading it on YouTube. Please subscribe to the Buzzstart Academy YouTube channel. We're on Facebook. We're all over the world. Hopefully we'll grow and we'll get a more amazing woman like Suzie on the show. So if anyone is watching and knows a role model, please do get in touch with myself. But it's an end of today's session, which has been extremely powerful. Suzie is now working with me on a new project. It's exciting. It's this project that's helping women. We're developing content and we're going to help women to grow and lead and change the world. So thank you, Suzie. Thank you to everybody online. And we're going to end it there. Take care. Bye-bye.